networking there, where we learned about how two machines communicate with each other based on IP addresses, subnet mask, how do we define the CIDR, and how do we define the rules on the network, on the firewall. So when there is a firewall between two different networks, how do we define the rules on the firewall for one-to-one mapping and one-to-many and many-to-many? That is based on CIDR. We also learned what a DMZ is, right? Now, moving forward, let's say you have a blank slate. Like I said yesterday, you have a blank slate. There's nothing on the ground at all, and you have been asked to set up a data center, right? So you walk into the room, there's nothing on it, empty, and you've been given a few days to set that up. You walk into that room, and first thing that you will do is start doing capacity planning as to how many users will be connecting it, how many computers will be there, and based on that you will go ahead and procure the devices, contact the ISP, and take the bandwidth accordingly. Number of public IP addresses that you'll be taking all depends on um, the resources that will be using there. So once you have that public IP addresses, let me actually draw a diagram here, and the same thing that we were drawing yesterday. Okay. Right. As far as creating a VPC is concerned, just a recap, we should be. What are the steps in creating the VPC? Can somebody recall that? Step number 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe from your notes. So first step is to create a VPC and assign a CIDR to that. The CIDR is in this format: 192.168.0.0/16, which is a larger network. Then you create a subnet, and then you assign a CIDR to that as well, right? Assign CIDR to that. And let's say that CIDR is, for example, 192.168.30.0/24. So all the machines that will be there in this subnet, and let's give it a name as well. This subnet is, let's say, public subnet. All the machines that are there in this subnet will have an IP of range 192.168.30.1.2.3, that ways. And you can create multiple subnets. Let's create another one, give that a name, assign a CIDR to that, and say 192.168.40.0/24 is what I'm going to give, and I'm going to make it a private subnet. So all the machines in this range will be just getting the IP of 192.168.40.1.2.3.4, like that. And this is a private subnet. That means that these machines will not be able to talk to the internet. Nobody can RDP to these machines, but these machines can talk to the internet, and from the internet people can connect to these. But you know what, just giving it a name like this, public subnet or private, just giving it a name does not make it public, does not make it private. There is a small setting over there that decides whether it should be public or private, and we will look into it. So you created the subnets, created the VPC. The second step, or the fourth step, is to create an internet gateway. Once the internet gateway is created, attach it to the VPC, right? So that way people from the external world can go ahead and connect to your VPC, and then from that VPC, if they want to get into your network, which is public or private, then we need to have routes added to the routing table. Now, all of this makes sense?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that now. I'll go and log into my AWS, which I'm already in there. Then under the services section, when I click on services, right, I see a bunch of services. VPC falls under the network component of it. So when I scroll down here, as network and content delivery, click on VPC. Or if I find things difficult to figure that out, I have a search box over here on the top. We can click on VPC. There's another way to do that. Now on the very top here, there's a black banner or black ribbon, right? I have already pinned up my VPC over here. The way to keep these services on the banner is to click on this pin. Once you click on that pin, all the hundreds of services that are available in AWS today will be listed out. All you have to do is pick the one that you really like to have that on the taskbar, that is quickly accessible things, and then drag and drop that thing on the black ribbon, and it will stay there. It will stay there only on that laptop in which you're done. So if you're using multiple laptops, multiple devices, one in office, one at home, and things like that, these ribbons will not survive that movement from one point to another point. So it's only for this machine because it's a cookie-based session, right? Now I have it. I have the VPC on the ribbon. I'll click on it to navigate there. All right, I'm there now. Now there are a couple of ways in which you can create a VPC. It's this one. There's a small button over here, Start VPC Wizard. If I click on it, it will give me options here. Hey, do you want to create a VPC with a single subnet? Do you want to create a VPC with public and private subnets? Do you want to create a VPC? And it is creating a diagram accordingly. So if I select, let's say this one, select, all you have to do is fill up this form. What is the CIDR block of that one? What is the VPC name that you want to give? What is the CIDR of your public subnet? CIDR of your private subnet? And that's it, you're done. Fill up all of that form and create VPC. But you never will get an opportunity to create a subnet yourself, create an internet gateway, attach it to the VPC, adding routes to the table. So you will not know where to do that because it's doing all of that in the background. So that's why I call this method a dumb method. That somebody who really is really in a hurry will pick this up or pick this method. So I would not prefer to use this kind of method, primarily because it is keeping all the things in the background, is not telling me what's happening in the background. I want to add those routes myself, so that will give me more exposure to how VPC works. Also will help me in troubleshooting when things go wrong. So the way to create it manually, in fact, there are three ways to create it. The first method, as I said, is a dumb method or wizard. Use the wizard method. The second method is doing all of it manually. A third method is with commandlets or something called as AWS CLI. We'll do manually and the CLI method, how to do using command lines now. I'll leave this method for now because it was pretty much like filling up the form and things like that. So I'll click on your VPCs on the left side, and then here all your VPCs that you have created so far will be listed. Keep in mind that on the top right hand side you will see all the regions that are there, right? I'm currently in North Virginia region. So in this region, or for a matter of fact, every region there will have a default VPC. right? So you may be surprised, hey, I just created my account and there is something in here I never created it. Well, every region that are listed here will have a default VPC, right? So if I scroll from left to right, I will see this one, default VPC. It says yes. Okay. Of course, if you do not like it, you can right click and delete that VPC. If you don't want to keep that, or if you find something fishy, you are very secure about your environment, so you can go ahead and delete that. It's not a problem at all. Okay. Are we good so far?
Yes, Anand.
Awesome. Let's go ahead. There's a couple of more attributes that I will explain here before we even dive into creating a VPC. Okay. Now as I've highlighted the VPC. In the bottom, you will see the properties, or also some people call it as metadata of the VPC. Right. So when I click on the second VPC, I will see some more attributes of a different VPC. Of course, I'll start explaining this one. Now, every resource in Amazon has a particular VPC ID, which is very unique to itself. If you create 10 VPCs, VPC IDs will be different. So it's like your roll number in a class. Two people in the same class cannot have the same roll number, right? Even in the entire university, two people cannot have same roll number. So that's how it is. So VPC IDs are totally different. You might have heard of SIDs and GUIDs. So GUIDs are totally unique and SIDs are also unique for the user. So that's how it is. State, it says, is available. Then IPv4 CIDR, it is a CIDR that is being assigned to this VPC, like we spoke yesterday and today as well. When you create a VPC, you need to assign a CIDR. That means all the devices or resources that are being assigned in this VPC will be getting a range of 172.30.x.x, right? /16 means that it will have approximately 65,000 IP addresses. How it will get 65,000 IP addresses is something we discussed in yesterday's class. This VPC does not give IPv6 addresses to anybody. Then there is DHCP option set. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, which is used to assign IP addresses dynamically to anybody who is contacting the DHCP server. The process used in or process used by the DHCP server is called as a DORA process. It's called as DORA. So that is discover, offer, request, and acknowledgement. So first the client machine has to discover where the DHCP server is, so it shouts in the network, broadcasts on .255 range, and says that, hey, I want an IP address, somebody give it to me. And then DHCP, as it is listening on those IP addresses, listening on that port number, which is 6769, it is listening on that. It gives the IP addresses to him, right? Then the client machine is happy about it and it says, okay, don't give my IP address to anybody else, and here's my MAC address. Keep it in your database, and I respect your lease time and everything. So once that is done, the DHCP server says, okay, I'll store it in my database and not give it to anybody, and that's an acknowledgement. So that's the crux. So, if I have to describe DORA process quickly, um, that's what happens. Now, the clients that are in or hosted in your VPC must be also getting some kind of DHCP information, and they are given by the DHCP option set. So that means that you do not have a DHCP module explicitly or a DNS server explicitly in your VPC. That's a good thing. You can just set up options. So it says the DHCP option set that it is using is DOPT250 whatever 42. Let's see what that is. On the left side, I'll click on DHCP option sets, and it gives me that. Let's say if I have to create a new option, DHCP option set, I click on the blue button there, create DHCP option set, and it gives me all these options. So as I fill these up, and I'll give it a name tab like my DHCP option set and the domain name, whatever, NTP server, etc., etc., etc. So that means that the client machines or the Windows 2008 servers or Linux servers that are there that are connecting to the VPC will be getting these option sets, these options. I've seen that when I was setting up DHCP on a Windows server in a traditional environment, you can set up to 250 options. There are 250 options that are given in the DHCP. So regularly DHCP used to give IP address, but not only that, we can also give default gateway, subnet mask, preferred DNS, alternate DNS, wins, preferred wins, alternate wins, net BIOS, what's an NTP server, things like that. But there are just few options here. Maybe as Amazon evolves and starts upgrading their infrastructure, they will be giving more options to us. Are we good so far, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So there? Okay. You have a new person, Keshav. Keshav, are you good as well?
Yeah, I mean, thing is, today is my first class, so I'm not sure what is the syllabus, so I'm trying to, grab as much as I can. So maybe end of the class, if you can tell me the syllabus and, what is your plan, that would be, helpful for me.
You did not miss much, Keshav. This is just the second class today. We were just talking about the basics of networking yesterday. We're just doing the VPC. So this is the second class. Yesterday was all theoretical. Well, some of us did not even have the accounts yesterday. So we did not do anything in Amazon yesterday. So it's just this is our first class.
Okay.
Yeah. How long have you been
Okay.
working from, Keshav?
I'm in US and I'm like a Hadoop architect. I work for two clients parallelly.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that helps. So maybe you will already have a good understanding of networks and how IP addresses work.
Yeah. So it's basically I'm a systems administration only. So
Yeah,
like Hadoop engineer and Hadoop architect role I do.
super.
So one of my client is trying to move to the AWS. So that's the reason I wanted to know some of the feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But
Keshav garu. Yeah. Go ahead, Anand.
yeah, but whatever we did so far, have you been able to absorb these things? You understand what an VPC is and things like that?
Yeah, I can understand this basic terminology. Yep.
Okay, okay. Great. Let's do this. Maybe once you are done with this session or something, I can take a half an hour session for you. So that way we'll be able to bring that up with the same page. Okay?
Okay, sounds
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Anil, you were saying something?
No, content I already shared in there's the same content, Keshav garu.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. Okay, I thought that's the DevOps engineering.
No, that's the same.
Oh, okay. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, content is something that I will be, of course, delivered, but things evolve. Amazon is changing. Um, and our content should also change. It's just that Amazon has given so many services in the past and is evolving so at such a rapid pace. And even I try to introduce and include as many services as possible as I research and implement in our organizations with my clients. So I will be telling not just those things which are there in the agenda or there in the curriculum, but we'll go beyond that, right? So maybe you can consider the agenda that was shared as a scaffold, as a skeleton, and on top of it we'll build a lot of things. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so we are at the DHCP routing table, that is used to add the routes and bring your network traffic from the external infrastructure to your internal. That's what the routes are used for, and we will do that. Network echo. There are two layers of security, as I was saying yesterday. one layer of security is attached to your instances, which is called as security groups. Security groups are nothing but firewalls. So if you have to allow incoming and outgoing traffic, you have to modify the security groups. Now, network ACLs are the secondary layer of security which are attached to your VPCs. This is important from the examination perspective also, and also from somebody who's now looking at IT security in your VPC environment. So network ACLs are more oriented towards managing your internal traffic and also managing the traffic that is inbound into your VPC. But when we talk about security groups are assigned to the machines or the resources. It could be software as a service, which is relational databases. It could be instances or virtual machines. So security groups are assigned to instances or resources at a granular level, whereas NACLs, network ACLs, right? Network ACL also called as NACLs. NACLs are assigned at a VPC level, okay? We will do all of this. Just giving a definition of these. Tenancy. What does tenancy means? It's like a tenant. So when you are maybe renting a space somewhere, you have the option to, how many people are living in this room. Is it all for yourself, or are there going to be multiple people living there? So when there are multiple people living there, you call it as multi-tenancy. If it is not, if it's all for yourself, then it is dedicated service. Now, tenancy default means it is multi-tenancy. What that means is that when you're hosting a server in the cloud in a multi-tenancy option, that means that your virtual machine will be hosted along with other virtual machines. And those virtual machines can belong to different customers. We don't know, right? So on the same physical host, you will have multiple virtual machines. Those virtual machines are belong to different people that we are not aware of. We don't know who they are, right? But if you don't like that to happen, you can go for a dedicated option where the entire host will be given to you. What that means is that you have to pay more for it. When it's a default is multi-tenancy. DNS resolution. DNS resolution, as we know, what is the role of DNS? DNS converts or translates name to IP addresses and IP addresses to names. There's a whole new section on DNS. It's called as Route 53 in Amazon Web Services. We'll take a look at that maybe on the 4th day or the 3rd day, right? So if you set up DNS resolution in this VPC, that means that the IP addresses that are being allocated to the virtual machines will also get a DNS name. Not just an IP address, but they will also get an FQDN, right? So DNS host name also means almost the same thing, that they will get the host names. You will be able to resolve from external world using the names. And classic DNS support is no, because we are all using Route 53 here. So let's go ahead and create a new VPC and see how that goes. Now I'm giving it a name. VPC, like I said, it's nothing but a data center in the cloud. It is a private network in the cloud, right? So traditionally we used to walk up and I remember like 15, 16 years ago when I was looking for jobs, there was a job description over there that says, hey, you got to be an MCP, you got to be a CCNA, you should have a great understanding of OSI layers, you should know what TCP IP is. Apart from all of that, there was a small line in the last. It says that, hey, you should be in a position to lift about 50 pounds as well, 50 kgs. I'm not sure if you have seen such job descriptions, but it says you should be in a position to pick up, lift and shift. So because setting up a data center was more about a laborious task, you have to be in a physically fit position. Your spine should be good so that you can bend, pick up the rack, push it up into the rack, and then there was a lot of activity involved, right? So now setting up a data center, as you see, is it's all click, click, click in the cloud, right? So VPC is nothing but a data center in the cloud. It is your isolated section. You can control your environment. It's in the cloud does not mean that everybody can get into it. You can give permissions as to who's going it. Um, um, so the permissions are called as ACLs, which are also called as access controls lists. Permissions that are set up at a VPC level are called as NACLs, which is network access control lists. Permissions that are set up at an instance level are called as security groups, where you can allow and deny rules in the firewall. So if you're all okay with your permission, we'll go ahead and create a VPC step by step, right? Madhu, Sudhir, Keshav, you're all set?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's give it a name. Let's get a name give it like my, or say prod data center. And the IPv4 address that I want to give it is just like the one that I gave it in the drawing sheet, 192.168.0.0/24. Okay. Do you want the machines to get IPv6 address? If yes, you can select that. I'll keep it no so far. Tenancy, default or dedicated like I explained. If you want more explanation about it, or the explanation the way Amazon gives, just mouse over this, what you call as an information icon. Let's click on that and it's going to give you more information. For now, I'll say create. So your VPC is created. That does not mean that it's creating subnets and all of that. You still have to go ahead and well, I did a mistake here. It's not 24, it is /16. So I'll delete this and create it one more time. Your name. I'm giving a different range now, 10.10.0.0/16. Well, once you do a mistake, there's no way you can edit this, especially these options. Yeah, there are only few options that you can modify that, but the IPv4 CIDR block cannot be modified. So it's on its way. 10.10.0.0/16 is the data center range that I'm giving. That's good. So that's the data center. It's got a VPC ID and rest of these options are there. But as you see, DNS host names is no and this is yes, etc. You can go ahead and modify some of these options. Just right click on that and you have a couple of these options. Edit DHCP option sets, edit DNS option sets, edit DNS host names. So you can check on that. If you want the machines to get a like an FQDN, you can do that. That says yes, which will convert to yes now. There are other options as well. DNS resolution, you want it people to resolve from the external, yes, right? So it will be published in the DNS. What is the second step? Create subnets, right? So on the left side, I'll click on subnets and create a subnet. Okay, name tag. Give it a name like private or public. This is my public _ subnet. And then in the drop down, select the data center that you want and give it a range. I want 10.10.20.0/24. Is that okay? So all my machines will be getting machines in this subnet will be getting this range 10.10.20.0.24. There's a new thing here which is called as availability zone. What does that mean? Availability zone means that every region in AWS, like North Virginia, Ohio, there's 2 of them in the East Coast, 2 of them in the West Coast, couple of them in the European region. There's 1 in India. There's 2 in Singapore. So every region will have an availability zone. Now these availability zones are totally isolated. You see, US East 1A is isolated from 1B, 1B is isolated from 1C, 1C is isolated from 1D. That does not mean that they are not connected. They are connected with low latency links. They are connected with certain bandwidth, right? So this is mostly used for disaster recovery purposes. So if you're hosting all of your resources in 1A, and if 1A goes down, then you're subject to single point of failure. It's all gone. So that's why you will have part of your resources in 1A and part of your resources in 1D or in any other availability zone, also called as AZ or AZ, so that you will have, you know, distributed resources, and even if there is a failure happening in one region, your data is saved. Does that make sense? You understand what is an AZ?
Yes, it's like a disaster recovery.
Absolutely. It is more focused on disaster recovery and to save, conserve and preserve your data.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm hosting this in here 1A. Public is in 1A. And when I'm creating the private one, I'll create it in 1B or something. Okay. Okay, it's on its way. Okay. One thing that I did not show you is that when you're creating the subnet, okay. Oh, okay. Name tag private underscore subnet, and I'll select my data center. You know, as soon as I select my data center, this IP address will reflect the VPC or the IP address that is assigned to the data center, right? And this one, let's keep it in 1B. And this IP address that I'm giving must be a subset of the main CIDR 10.10.0.6. It must be a subset of this. It cannot be 10.20.0.0 or even 30.0/24. It cannot be that. It will give me an error straight off. Because 10.20 is not in the range of 10.10. It should be in this subset. Does that make sense? I think it was more of networking aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keshav?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on mute, so.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay. Thank you. So let's go ahead and create this with that options. So now I have two subnets created, which are private and public. The private one is in the range of 10.10.20, which is, I can scroll down and maybe filter these with VPCs. So these are the ones, right? These two. There's a typo over here. I'll fix it. Okay. Now one thing is that, does that, no, when I give the name public, my intention is to make sure that the instances that are hosted in the public subnet get a public IP address. Instances that are hosted in the private subnet must get a private IP address only and should not be accessible from outside, should not be getting a public IP. But just by giving it a name like this, public and private, does that make it public and private? Actually, no. We know that's very common. So the way to do that is just right click and say modify auto assign IP address settings. So this setting says that if I check this box, the resources that are there in the public subnet or the instances that I'm launching in the public subnet will get a public IP. It says enable auto assign public IP v4 or v6 to automatically request an IP address for the instance. So this will be public IP and they'll be getting it automatically. Save. I just saved it, and I did not do it for the private one. Where is the private one? This one, right? Just right click and say that. So I'll not check this box because I don't want these machines to get a private IP. Okay? Right. Okay, right, Madhu?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. The next thing is go to Internet Gateway, create an Internet Gateway, attach it to the VPC. This is very simple. Create Internet Gateway, give it a name IGW underscore data center or something, right? Create it and say attach it, right click, attach to VPC. Now in the drop down, I will not see all the VPCs. It will show me only the VPC that does not have a gateway attached so far. So I'm done. Okay. Next is to go to the route table. Click on the route table that is assigned to my data center. Click on routes. Now you will see that external routes are not allowed. End-to-end routing is allowed within the VPC. 10.10.0.0.16 0/16 is routable within the network, not from outside or from your client place. Let's say you are creating this network for your client. Then what you will do is add another route and say give the public IP address of that client, like 54.87.109.30 or whatever is the public IP address of the client. You need to find that out from the client, and then you need to add those routes to the internet gateway, right? It says not a valid CIDR block. As you say that, okay, that's good. So you are saying that anybody who's connecting from this network will be able to connect to my internet gateway and hence access the resources, right? Is a public IP address. But what I'm going to do is I will put this, so that way I'm exposed to the internet. Anybody from the internet can come and connect to the internet gateway and access my resources at what I am saying. Okay, so that's it. I'm done here. Done with the VPC creation. Is everybody on the same page? VPC creation, that's it. These are the 4 steps that you have to do to create a VPC.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do, and let's go ahead and create an EC2. I know Madhu, you just created an account yesterday and it got activated now. But Sudhir, did you get an opportunity to create an instance in AWS and play around that?
No, actually only I created the account, but I didn't get chance. And so what is the next process actually? So I need to create one instance, then VPC, right? Or what exactly is the
Okay.
next step?
So Sudhir, it is no different from how you do it in your traditional environment. We do not bring a machine first into the data center, but you will for what you'll first do is bring a firewall into the data center. You will put racks, routers, switches. The last thing that you will do is bringing up a server. So here as well, first thing that you did is create a VPC, and then you'll create an instance.
Okay. Yeah.
The first step was to create a VPC, that is a data center, in which you're setting up your security and all that, who should be able to get into the network and things like that. Once that is done, the last thing is to bring resources, the database server or the Linux server or storage or virtual machines, whatever you want to do. That's the last step. Application servers. First is your security, which you have done already, and then you bring up the instances. That's what we did. We are first creating the VPC, that is a placeholder for all your resources. You also architected and designed how many subnets do you want in that VPC, private, public, what should be the range of those, what is the IP addresses they should be getting. Based on that, now you will create instances there, right?
Okay. And I have one more question actually. We are assigning these subnets and subnets randomly. So how do we know these subnets are available on the AWS or not? All these private and public.
Private is always available. Private is for you. I just
Yeah,
assign
private is
that
always
randomly.
available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public public IP addresses, you do not have an option. You know what? In what range should I be getting a public IP? You don't have an option. You will just get it. Private IP, you have an option, because I'm creating all of this in North Virginia, and you know what? Let's go to the VPC. Okay. So I have this range 10, 10, 0, 16, right? I can create one more VPC with the same range. Let me give it
Okay.
10.0.0/16. there will not be any conflict. It's not going to be annoyed at all because it's private. It's isolated within your environment. It's as good as you have your office. In your office, you get an IP address of 192.168.30 dot whatever range. When you come home, you get the same range, 192.168.30. You go to your friend's home and you connect your laptop over there, and you will get a same IP, maybe a different IP in the same range, because they are private. But in the public, you will not get the same range. You'll never get the same range. In the private networks, you can always have the same range because it's private to you.
Right.
So here there is no verification required, nothing. There is no conflict at all.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's go ahead and create an instance there and see how that goes. So when you're creating an instance, right, you go to EC2 and then you'll get a big menu here. You have a whole host of machines that you can select from. So you can select Amazon, AMI, Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu as Windows operating systems, Windows operating system with SQL, with an application or standard. So you can select anything that you want. But there are certain operating systems that come under free tier. Some of them do not. As you see, scroll down, some of them do not have free tier eligible. So being in the free tier, I'll select just those ones, and if I have to be extra cautious, I'll select these, which is free tier. Okay, free tier only. So that means the whole list will be free tier only. For now, I'll select Windows 2012 or something. Tomorrow we'll do Linux. Let's say I want Windows 2000 and where is 2008? Yeah, 2008 base. Oh, base. Okay, I'll select that. Now it tells me how much of CPU, RAM, etc. you want. Now this again whole list of configuration settings you got, and they're all segregated based on these. Well, if you want virtual machine or your instance to be highly optimized for storage, you can select that. So it will have couple of drives, 3 drives at 2 terabyte disks each. So you'll have 2 into 2 into 2, which is 6 terabytes. It will have 4 CPUs and 30 gigs of memory, and like that. So you can select based on the performance as well. Then there is GPU optimized, memory optimized. This is more focused on RAM. This one is compute optimized, so it's a combination of CPU and memory. So it all depends on applications. What kind of application are you hosting? Certain applications are GPU optimized. So for a gamer who's developing a gaming application, you of course look at GPU intensive machines, right? For us, let's go ahead and select a T2 micro because that's the only one eligible in free tier. I'll select that, and what we'll get along with that is 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM, right? We'll go further. Now this is the point where it asks you, hey, in which VPC do you want to host it, right? How many machines do you want to create? Do you want to create 1 machine or 10 machine or 20 machines? Yeah, you can do that. Here this option is network. Oh, it's just 0. Okay. So as you see, I've got 3 VPCs in my VPC section. It's listing all of them here. I can select the one that I just created. That means that the IP address of this machine that I'll get will be in the 10.10 range, right? The next option is in which subnet do you want to put that in? How many subnets do I have? Private and public. One is in A and other is in B, right? That's what I see in the list here. Now when I select public, the next option it says that auto assign public IP is automatically becoming enable because of the setting that we did last, right? We made sure that the instances will be automatically getting public IP addresses, using that checkbox that we did, right? But if you select the private one, it should be disabled because we did not select it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So I'll select public for now. And yesterday we were saying that in a range which has 192.168.30.0/24, technically you can have 254 IP addresses, but Amazon just gives 251. Some of these are reserved for themselves, right? Whether you want these machines to be domain joined, we don't have a domain yet, we don't have a directory yet. Whether you want an IAM role to be assigned to it, that's something, I'll look into it. Shut down. When you right click and shut down, what do you want to do? You want it to get terminated, or do you want it to be, just stop it? You can also do, accidental protection from termination. Termination means deletion. So when you right click on the machine and say terminate, it's gone forever. You can do nothing about it. So that's why organizations will put this and say that enable accidental protection or accidental termination, so that even if somebody wants to, or maybe just right clicks and terminates it, it does not get terminated. We'll see how to get around it later on. Now it says enable CloudWatch monitoring. Monitoring is one of the very important aspects. Everything that you create in the cloud must be measurable. That's given by NIST standards, National Institutes of Standards and Technology. So everything that you create in the cloud in terms of resources, like RAM that you're giving, CPU that you're giving, you should be able to measure the resources at any point in time. At like 3 months ago, at about 4 p.m., what was the CPU utilization? You should be able to calculate that, get it in the form of graphs, right? Now, it says enable CloudWatch monitoring. If you do not enable it, you will still get it. You will still get monitoring, but that monitoring will be at 5-minute intervals. So CPU utilization will be on the graphs, or memory utilization will be in the graphs at every 5-minute intervals. But if you check this box, you will be getting at 1-minute interval. So there's additional charges that will be applied for this. If you uncheck it, you'll still get the metrics for your resources, but it will be at 5-minute intervals, which is okay. Tenancy is nothing new to you, whether you want it on a shared instance or dedicated host, right? Now this one, it says,
Anand, Anand, sorry to interrupt. I have a question here.
Mhm.
When you enable that, do you also get the archive data, or only just 1-minute monitoring data?
You'll get historical data.
For example, if I, oh, okay.
Yeah, you can go back to any point in time till the time the machine was on, up and running. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
good question. Thank you. So yeah, you can add multiple network cards to it, give the IP address that you want in this network interfaces section. There's another advanced detail section that I've seen in the exam as well. Now it says user data. Now this section, don't get confused, this is as good as login scripts, right? So if you have a login script that you want to run, you can put that here. Any applications that you want to get installed during the OS installation or imaging itself, you can put that in the form of a script. It accepts PowerShell, Python, Linux, coding, JSON, anything that you want to write, it will accept everything, right? Or you can put that as a, browse it to a text file wherever you have script and get that done, and then encrypt it as well with base 64. That's a logon script. It's a script that runs when the machine is being imaged, and you get all of the settings that you put that in the script. How much of storage that you want to get with free tier account, 30 GB is good enough. Because I'm selecting Windows, it gives me 30 GB. For Linux, 8 GB is enough, and it gives 8 GB. That's it. Throughput volume, if you look at it, the volume type is general purpose SSD, and I'm getting IOPS here. But in production you don't use general purposes or magnetic. Magnetic is pretty old, and nobody uses magnetic. See, IOPS is nothing. They don't guarantee any IOPS with magnetic. Usually used in non-production, not even in development, but something that's very temporary. Or people will use provisional, where you can even customize the IOPS for that. For now, we'll use general purpose. Delete on termination is checked here. It's not encrypted. The base disk is not encrypted. However, you can add new volumes to it later on as well. Even after the machine is created, you can add new volumes to it, right? Tagging is a very important aspect for chargeback and billing purposes, and also for us to identify what kind of a machine it is. It is web server. I can add more here, say department. and say department is front end team, yeah, and add say billing. That one will be billing quarterly. So you can put those tags, as many tags as you want, and the limit is 50, and later on maybe you can use these for billing and reporting purposes. Security groups is one of the most important aspects here. To control the network inbound and outbound traffic. So you are creating a security group, or you can even attach a new security group that you have. When you create a security group, you can say, okay, right now I'm using RDP. For Windows, I will need RDP protocol by default to connect to it. 3389 is a port number. But say if I want to make it a web server as well, I'll say add a rule, and in this list I'll select HTTP. So that way it will be 80, right? Or if it is a secure website, I'll say HTTPS, and it will become 443. But this is the source. From where do you want the traffic to be hit? I can put my custom IP. So my IP is automatically picking up the public IP. Right? You know what is my IP? What is my IP? 223.230.87.5. That's the same thing here. So my network will be allowed. So this was done usually for customers, and you want only your customer to access the public thing or your website, then that's when you put this. Or you can put custom, you can put your own IP. 0.0.0.0/0 means internet, everywhere, anything can connect to it from any device, right? So you can do that as well. From now I'll remove that and say review and launch, and it's a summary of it. Say launch it.
Anand, I have a question here.
Sure.
So when you enable these HTTP and HTTPS ports, right? Let's say you have a multiple instances in the like one VPC. So all the instances can access these ports, or you can limit to only particular instance using these ports?
You can of course limit. There's a lot of restrictions that you can put here. For now, see, I'm saying that this machine that I'm creating is accessible from the internet over port number 3389. But if you do not want that to happen, you can say that I want HTTP traffic to be routable only from within my security group. So anybody who's attached to my security group will be able to access it. I can put my security group name here like that.
Okay.
So any machine that is attached to this security group will be able to communicate to this network or this machine over port number 80.
Okay, so you are doing for one instance at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, security groups are at an instance level. NACLs are at a VPC level. There is nothing at a subnet level.
Okay. Okay, so these configurations for, let's say in a real-time scenarios, there are like hundreds of instances we have to create, right? Is there any automation process you do, or is it only through console?
Most of the time you do through console, but when you have to do automation, we use CloudFormation. CloudFormation is used to deploy resources in your environment automatically. 100 times, 200 times, if you have to deploy the same kind of environment for developers, then you don't do this manually. You have to script it and keep it and push it with CloudFormation.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Welcome. Say launch. Now this is an important aspect. Nowhere in this screen it asks for what is the password that you want for this machine, right? Windows Azure, when you're creating an instance in Windows Azure, Microsoft Azure, there it gives you, hey, password, confirm password, password hint, all of that it will ask in Windows Azure. Here it does not give you that option. The password is in the form of certificates here. So you have to decrypt the certificate every time you want to log in there. So you're actually creating a certificate by creating a key pair. Key pair stands for a private and public key. So this key pair will have a public key that will Amazon will store, and then there will be a private key that you will download now, right? So I'll give it a name, called lab, and download key pair. Now once it is downloaded, so it is downloaded just now. Once it is downloaded and click on launch instances, you can never download it again. That means if you lose it, you cannot log in. Okay, click on view launch log and it will show me what's going on. Rather, I'll click on this. Now this is instance ID. Like I said, every resource in your environment has a unique ID, which is I-VPC has VPC hyphen, subnet has subnet hyphen, internet gateways has IGW hyphen, right? So they are all representation is different. Till September 2016, it was only 8 numbers here, but now they made it like 16 numbers, or 16 characters, right? So we are creating a T2 micro instance. It is hosted in US East 1A. The state is pending and just moved to running state now. That's all good. So what I also said that when you click on it, you'll get data on the bottom, which is the metadata. You can look at this. So it got a public IP. It also got a public DNS name because of the checkbox on VPC. It got a private IP as well, which is in the 10.10.20 range because it is in public subnet. Remember our public subnet was 10.10.20.0/24. So it will get all the IP addresses in this range, right? And it got a public IP address as well. You can scroll down further and click on inbound rules. These will be the rules that we set up during the instance creation. You can of course go ahead and modify that. Click on launch wizard 6, click on that, and inbound rules, you can click on edit and start modifying that if you want to customize the rules for that. Okay, so there's a lot of information over here, everything that we got today. When was it created? So all of this is metadata of that machine. So we have to wait for these statistics to get completed. It is still initializing. You need to have 2x2 checks complete, and that's it. It should be up and running. Are we good so far? We understood 100% of what I said in this 1 hour?
Yes.
Yes.
Sudhir?
Actually, for this instance, actually we have not given any host name for this IP, right? So this is nothing but a node, right? So we can log in from the outside. This is Windows Server, so we can log in from the outside. So how can we do that? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just waiting for the statistics to get completed, and because in the inbound rules I have given that 3389 is open from the internet, we can definitely log into this machine. I'm just waiting for the statistics, and it is still initializing. Once it is done, we can log in, and once it is logged in, it's all in your hands now. You want to rename the machine, give it a host name, put that in the configuration management database, follow the procedures for your build guide. Organizations will have build guide processes, that how do you build a machine, how do you harden it, security, registry of that machine. So you can go ahead and follow the server hardening processes, no problem.
Okay.
Now, yeah, go ahead.
And one more question. So for this creating the VPC and instance, is that chargeable or it's a free for this account?
Creating the VPC is not chargeable. Creating the instance is also not chargeable till the time you do not cross the free tier eligibility levels. So remember, when I was creating an instance, I was making sure that I'm selecting only free tier ones. If I select anything else, you'll be charged.
Okay.
Make sure that
Is there any limit for the once I create the instance? How many days I can keep that instance for
750 hours.
Okay.
So that will be continuously. If you're running every day, you can run it for 30 days. You'll be done with your 750 hours. And your free tier account is also gone. You may have to create a new account.
Yeah. So if I'm not using, I can
Yes.
I can stop that instance.
Yeah, I
Right?
can say right click and instance state and stop it. There are a couple of options: instance state, stop, reboot, terminate. Yes, you can
Okay. So
stop
this
it
is
and
applicable only to the host. So for VPC also, is there any other
for
procedure?
VPC you're not charged anyways.
Okay. So that's okay, I got it.
So there are so many options here. Let's see this one, connect. You want to connect to this, you want to get the Windows password, right? So it says that the key name was lab. I need to choose that file, and I think it's in the downloads. I'll go for lab. Yeah, that is a file that was downloaded during the instance creation, and that is a certificate. Just say decrypt the password, and that is the password. Okay, HOZT2 etc. Let's copy that and keep it in my clipboard because I'm gonna need it later on. Copy that. One thing is that you can, when you're creating another machine, let's say you're creating another instance, you can use the same PEM file. You don't have to have one PEM file per machine. You can have multiple PEM files or you can have a single PEM file for multiple machines. Another thing that organizations usually do is once your machine is created, you log into it and then you reset the admin password. That way you'll never need the PEM file again. And also create multiple users, put them in the administrators group. So that way you will have a backdoor entry just in case if you forget the password as well. Organizations will usually keep it in PAM solutions called as, you might have heard of this PAM, Privileged Access Manager tools. That's where people will keep their passwords. Let's see if I can get in. The IP address is 52.205.136.205. Okay. Okay, try again. Oh, it's a IP.
You're giving the wrong
Yeah,
IP.
yeah. 205. Okay. The password is in my clipboard. That's it. Awesome. So it took me in. It's a Windows 2008 R2 data center server built on the Amazon cloud in your new VPC. So it will have the private IP range of 10.10.20.0, 20.x, that range. And it is publicly accessible as well for two reasons: because it is in a public subnet, because of the checkbox it will get a public IP. Second reason is that you're allowing 3389 on that security group. Okay, so 10.10.21.63, that's the IP. Any questions so far?
Can we see the log like when this instance is creating?
Right click and image, it should be somewhere here, get system log.
Oh.
It's a very basic thing that it gives, not a lot. There's one more thing that you can also do. You can get a screenshot of this machine. Usually in VMware, you have the option to take a console, right? In
Yes.
VMware, you don't have the console thing. That's not a problem at all. But one thing that you can do is get an instance screenshot to see, at what point in time is it stuck, what's going on the machine if you cannot log in. Yeah, so you can get that.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Suppose if the server is not accessible from outside, we can go like console. We can go to this way, right? So we can do that
Right, you don't
directly
have,
in your.
yeah, you don't have access to the console. You just have access to the screenshot just to see what's going on. Sometimes the computer may be stuck at some point, so yeah.
No, I actually how to resolve that issue. Suppose we don't have console for that node. So let's say if it is in production, so uh, the server is not accessible, the node is not accessible. We have to, as a administrator, we have to resolve that issue, right? So we need to go to the console in a normal cases in virtual machines, VMware or server. So in this case, how to log into the server?
That use case I've never seen, and when that happens, there is an option to reboot over here. So another thing that you can do is every machine has a volume attached to it. So when you click on volumes, every machine has a volume. Just in case you think there is a problem, you can create a new instance and attach this volume to that instance. So console access is not there. So you can, if there is a problem, just go ahead and instance reboot. Screenshot is another one. And the third option is to attach the volume to new instance. These are things that you can do.
Attaching new volume is that is different because it gives all the existing data, all the data will be there on the one of the volume.
If it is a file server, you will need that, right? You will need all of that data to copy to another machine at least, so that your data is saved.
Okay.
I tried creating an instance with the Linux. Looks like it was having some problems.
Like what?
I see like it's saying like unable to identify CD-ROM format, and Ethernet 0 link is not ready. So looks like it has some problem.
Let's do this. I had an agenda to create a Linux machine tomorrow. So while we are doing it tomorrow, I'll also take a look at your screen by making you an admin, and we'll take it forward from there as to how to troubleshoot that as well.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. So yeah, make notes, keep writing. So when you're practicing, you'll have a lot of questions as well. Put them on your notes. We can take it forward from the next day. So unless you have any questions, we can wrap up for the day.
So what are the document source here for this curriculum? Like Amazon like website or any other books that you recommend to read?
Amazon has extensive documentation. So I'll say docs Amazon. We'll go here, docs Amazon. And then what kind of resource that you want to pick it, you want to go for S3 or EC2, etc. Let's say docs, AWS, Amazon. There's a lot of documentation over here. You don't need any book. This itself is a library over here. So you can pick up any resource that you want to read from, EC2, etc. User guide.
So to start with, where do we need to start?
Start reading it.
I mean, there are, as you said, it's a library, so what is the starting point?
Starting point is exactly the way we are going in this training, which is VPC, EC2, load balancing, auto scaling, storage. In storage, we'll do S3, Glacier, EFS, and databases, which is RDS, Postgres database, or any database that you're comfortable with, Microsoft database, right? Identity and access management. So we'll be going through that. So the starting point is today's point. Today, what did we discuss? VPC. So you'll go back and read VPC, right? Of course,
Okay.
you cannot complete VPC in a day. It will take some time. Again, tomorrow we will do more on EC2. So you learn EC2 tomorrow. So that way, your starting point tomorrow will be EC2 in the documentation.
So I mean, no, I mean, I don't know whether it's the right question at this point. So let's say when you say sysops admin, that guy will deal with networking applications and EC2, EC3 storage, everything, or any particular section that he should be, dealing with?
It's a very good question. It all depends on the company that you join, the organization that you join. If you're joining a startup company, small scale company that cannot afford 5 administrators, one for S3, one for database, like it all used to happen traditionally, right? In traditional world, there were different teams. But if you go to Middle East, there's an all-in-one guy standing there. That guy knows networking, knows storage, knows virtualization. That also speaks to the ISP about procurement, also signs on the finance contracts. So it all depends on the organization that you're joining. Well, the place where I work.
Okay. So which means like we should know everything, right?
From the examination perspective, you should know everything. You should also know everything for collaboration perspective. So if you're joining a large organization where your hands will be tied as far as storage is concerned, but you're freed up in VPC section, that means you have full access to VPC because you belong to network department or networking team. For collaboration and talking to other teams, you should have knowledge about the rest of the areas. That way, when you're contacting them, communicating, emailing them, you know what you're talking about.
Okay. So another thing is like, let's say our role is like building the instances. After that, there are application deployments, right, in that instances. Are we part of that, or that is a separate role?
That's a separate role. That's a separate role, because if somebody wants to deploy Oracle on top of it, that will take 6 hours. Oracle, and we don't know what the Oracle configuration is.
Okay. So it's basically we are only concerned about the infrastructure side.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Applications. Now we're not doing applications at all, because if we do applications, then applications team will lose their jobs. So, anyways.
Anyway, like the DevOps, because of DevOps, middleware admin jobs are gone. So because the same jobs they converted into DevOps and made more automation.
The jobs are gone if they don't learn. If they learn, or if we learn, then our jobs are there, right? That has been there in every area.
Yeah,
like I started working on Windows platform from Windows NT. Now today we have Windows 2012. Right? Now within Active Directory area itself, there has been so many changes. If I don't learn it, I mean, the job will be extinct.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. We're not losing jobs here. Not losing jobs. With what people say is a cloud.
I mean, the fundamental side, like, what are we should be good at networking, or like what are the prerequisites for this, like networking, Linux, and what other stuff?
Yeah, basics of networking. There has been a small video that I made. I'll share that with you as well. I converted that yesterday. I may need your email addresses. Yeah, I didn't get an opportunity to talk with Anil. So if you get a chance, can you please put your email addresses here?
Yeah. I can type it in the chat.
Yeah, I have a whole lot of not documentation, but video documentation that I've made in the past. I'll share all of them with you. So that way, the basics will be covered. Networking basics I've covered. Yeah. Basics of network, basics of storage, what is SAN, what is NAS, what are databases used for, how do I host a website? If you want to start up a company like Keshav.com, how do you do that? So you approach to GoDaddy, create your DNS, hosting. So basics of everything is required here.
Okay.
Like how does
I have my own data center. I built it from scratch for my organization.
in
So let's
AWS?
say not in AWS, like traditional data center I have. It's like a very old type of data center.
Okay.
Like I have a 200 servers where I built like regular Comcast IP and connect to the router and switches and all stuff like that. Not through AWS.
Okay.
So I run my Hadoop clusters on that. So
Awesome. So you got a pretty good handle on the infrastructure then. This, for you, it should be a piece of cake. Shouldn't be a problem.
yeah, that's the reason I want to know boundaries from you. That's the reason I'm asking a lot of questions.
That's fine. Yeah. So those questions open up a lot of, maybe introduce some more questions as well, and that's fine. And that's the whole intention of this Q&A here. There shouldn't be a problem. Ask as many as things as you want. I'm not saying that I know everything. I'll try to answer as many as possible. If I don't know, I'll say I'll find out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I sent my email ID. So did you get it?
I see that. Yes, I see it.
Okay. Yeah, you can send me what are the important stuff that I need to go through it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I know we're recording sessions every day. When yesterday's session was recorded, so I'll put them in a folder there and share those things with you. So that way you can always refer back, and it's going to be easy as well.
So Anand, are you working in US or India? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in India.
Located?
I'm in India.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I do fly to US quite often. Chicago, I have a client there, so I come there for certain trainings and I come back. So that's how it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
are we meeting Monday to Friday or weekends also you have a session?
Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday, like every day 8 to 9:30?
Yeah, so in India it will be like 6:30 or something. I'm not sure which time zone you are in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 6:30 my time.
Yeah, I'm in EST, yeah. Yeah.
EST. Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Madhu, you're okay, right? So there, any questions?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm working on my instances.
Okay, awesome. I'll help you with those Linux thing, Madhu, for sure tomorrow. Okay?
Yeah, I did restart the machine. Looks like it's okay now.
Oh, okay.
SSH.
So do I need to create Amazon account first to start with?
Oh, yes, sir. Please. We need to have an AWS account. So go to aws.amazon.com. There you will see create free tier account there. And get that done as early as possible because it takes about 24 hours to activate and certain challenges that we may face.
Okay.
Yeah. I was giving corporate trainings earlier in Accenture and and also in TNS. So when I was giving there, people had a lot of challenges. Their credit cards were not accepted, debit cards not accepted at all. Because here they charge ₹2 on the debit card. How much did they charge you, Madhu? Like $1?
No, actually, I have a Prime, Amazon Prime, so
Okay.
they have the single. They already have my credit card, so
Okay.
I signed up with that. So they didn't charge.
Oh, okay. If we have Amazon Prime, it's a free. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the account is free, but if you already have like your credit cards, information mentioned in the Amazon Prime, then they don't ask anything. They'll activate immediately.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is that. Okay.
That's good. So what happened here is they charge ₹2 on the credit card, and of course this is only for verification and then give it back to you as well. But certain bank accounts did not let that small amount to be deducted from their account using debit card. So there was a problem. Some more problems, like it took 24 hours for them to activate. In a corporate class, it was just a 3-day class. Out of that, we were losing 1 day because it took 24 hours. Then they had limitations on their account, which said that you cannot create more than 2 instances. And we needed 2 instances for auto scaling purposes, minimum 2 instances for load balancing, more than 2 machines for auto scaling. So those were the challenges. So yeah, Keshav, I suggest that you create your account as early as possible. Otherwise, we don't have any challenges in the labs.
Okay. I will do that today.
Awesome. Okay. Okay, thank you guys, and I'll wrap up for now, and look forward for another exciting session tomorrow. Okay.
Okay,
Sorry,
sure.
I have
Thank you.
a question. So how many free instances we can create in the private cloud?
Okay. On the left side of the screen, as you see my screen, right, there's a limit section. So I'll click on those limits. Yeah. And that will tell me what I can do with my EC2. So I'll scroll down to T2 micro, the T2, or it's just too many, I'll say search. Okay, so that means I can create 20 T2 micro instances,
Oh, okay.
but that doesn't mean that you will be able to run throughout an year. 20 T2 micro instances running at the same time, that means you are consuming 20 hours in 1 hour.
Oh, okay.
And you have 750 hours limit.
Okay.
So that means you'll be done with that 750 in about, what, 37 hours, which is in about a day. You're done with your, no, not a day, but close to 1.5 day. You're done with your free tier account.
Yeah. I understand. Okay, that's great. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. Welcome. Sudhir, any questions?
No, I'm good, Anand. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you everybody for your time and patience. Let's look forward for tomorrow's session. We'll meet at the same time.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.